For as long as I can remember, I've had a thing for the beauty of Iowa. The rolling bean fields, the harsh winters, crooked old posts with a story to tell. I started taking pictures of Iowa. I realized that there's a lot of beauty around us that we take for granted. And I've noticed that a lot of Iowans take their own history for granted too. But if we don't tell these stories, who will? My name is Krystal Doolittle, and I love Iowa. I was born in Mason City into a farming family. I loved being out on the farm. I learned how to drive going through combined bean fields in the fall with my dad. I met my husband Eric after I graduated from college. And now we're out here in the land of windmills and cornfields, making a life for ourselves. It's recording, we figured it out! Say hi! One day this summer, we learned that Eric's grandpa had been asked about the history of a piece of land.
They contacted Royal, see, and then, yeah, I didn't know what it was. I'd heard of the land grant college, but never really understood it.
We didn't know much, just that it was connected somehow to Iowa State University. And I realized there was an amazing story sitting right in front of us about our family. And this made me wonder, how many other great stories are there out there? There are more stories like it. Who's going to tell them all? Hey guys, it's Wednesday night. Tomorrow is a big morning because I am going to be meeting with Kathy and Kress. I had the opportunity to meet her at the state fair. She's very passionate about Iowa's heritage and our stories. I cannot wait to talk to her, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you.
Krystal, hi, how you doing?
Great, it's so good to see you
It's good to see you too. Welcome to our campus.
Oh, thank you. I have never been here to this area, and I'm blown away by how amazing these old buildings are.
When the federal government first passed the Land Grant Act, Iowa was the first state to accept the terms. And so the great idea of the land grant was, let's make it possible for these states to build a college by giving them a grant of land to get it started.
Sure.
And so that's what this was about. Now, what I find really interesting is when you talk with people who do understand what a land grant is, they have a tendency to think that that grant of land, that gift of land that the federal government gave to the states, is the land that we're standing on right now.
But it's not.
It's not. No, it's not at all. Here in Iowa, our western part of the state had not yet been opened for settlement when the Land Grant Act was passed. And so we were able to have our land grant actually come from land that's here in the state of Iowa. And that's really something that we're very interested in, is that legacy of that land that helped to build Iowa State University.
Yeah.
After an amazing conversation with Kathy Ann, I had to meet the group that was out there doing the work for the Land Grant Legacy Project. Hi! Yeah, good to see you again, Ray. I'm Krystal Doolittle.
We realized early on you had to have a visual wow factor. We enlisted the help of our folks with the GIS department here on campus, and they took the handwritten, converted to typed data that Barry had there.
Wow.
And we used all that geocoding then to create that map.
You know, as soon as they pull the map out and they've got these shaded areas, everybody's like crawling onto the table looking to see if they know any of those places.
Yeah.
Is anything close to a place that I know? Is there something I could relate to? So it's like the map automatically just pulls you right into it.
So once we got our team assembled here and had all this put together, then the next step was to reach out to the counties to get support of the counties to help tell the story. And that's where we came up with the idea of identifying the first property of record in each county. One of the layers that we can put on there allows people to step back in time and see what their properties look like at the time. So this base layer here is the state atlas map from 1875. So on this particular one, we plotted it with your township and range and section numbers in the northwest quarter section, and it was first leased in 1865. So it was one of the first ones leased right after the
Wow.
So within the first couple of years.
Lease number or something.
And it was leased for $124.
It's just amazing that you guys were able to find this and pull this up.
I remember vividly when we were at your place that, you know, your grandpa and your dad were talking to Jerry and I over here, and I catch your husband out of the corner eye, and he's got on that map and he's making a list of all the neighbors that he needs to talk to that has parcels on. So he's chomping on the bit to tell, and that's exactly what we want to happen. We want people that see it, you know, then if it's not theirs, to at least have enough interest to identify the family members of their neighbors, and so that we can get swamped with records that we have to validate to do that. So we're thinking it's a cool little treasure hunt, and it's going to spark interest. So that's what we hope happens.
Meeting with the group was fascinating, and it prepared me to go out and meet the Iowans who owned the land grant parcels. So I met with Regional Director Jerry Chizik and later Ray again to head out and talk to the landowners.
So we are on our way to the very first farm that was purchased to fund Iowa State University. And it might even be the first piece of land that was purchased for a land grant college in the whole country, which is outstanding. It's really a unique piece of history possibly here.
So we're on the Francois farm, and we're going to be visiting with James Francois.
My grandfather bought it originally, and my dad lived here his whole life, and Frank, his brother.
Yep.
And then I have.
Any great stories that stick out in your mind from your childhood growing up here on this farm?
Oh, we did a lot of work. I mean, Dad worked off the farm, and when you got home from school, you knew what you had to get done. And if you look out all across there, that was the original place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can see it to the white markers.
Yep.
And then over to the highway.
Okay.
This is what the place used to look like.
Oh, neat. Starts here, and then just all this would be the farm, whole
Yep.
farm.
And so this would have been where your parents
My
lived then?
parents lived.
So there's always been two houses here, so always
yeah.
a couple generations here.
All the time. And there's a picture of my parents.
Okay, so
That'd be when we on another farm north in Clare, we got a Century farm.
This is James's father back in the day when he was driving school buses.
Here's a picture of my daughter. We got her first pony.
Your set of grandparents that we're looking at would have actually lived on this farm as well then.
Yep. Because if you notice right here, that was Mom painting that building at about 7 o'clock in the morning. And an airplane flew over and took a picture.
out!
And she didn't want that picture taken for nothing.
That is so funny.
It really wasn't her best side project.
All right.
Notices that stuff.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, guys. Where are we headed next?
Well, the woman that we're going to go see is Kathy Kaufman, and she is the owner of, or partial owner of the parcel in Pocahontas County.
Dad had built a lean-to onto the barn,
Okay.
and it was still high enough off the ground that, you know, you couldn't just touch it. And when we'd have bad winters and the snow would pile up, we'd climb up on the roof and slide off of there.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
into
yeah.
the snowbank.
So I'm just doing the math in my head. Your folks bought it in 52, you said?
50.
50.
Yeah,
Okay.
So it says in 50.
So 66 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's been in the family.
Yep.
Very good.
There's a picture of the way it was when Mom and Dad bought it.
Oh, that's
This one here he had hogs in most of the time.
Okay.
This is the one we always slid off the roof on.
Okay.
That one there,
Well,
because he had built more onto it.
Gee, I can hardly imagine why your parents would be upset, Kathy, for you to climb to the peak of that and then get a running start off it. I can't imagine why.
Well, we'd use our wash machine lids, you know, saucers.
Yeah, just to get you
Yeah.
a little faster.
Mhm.
The farm from this corner, how far does it?
It goes to the other side of the acreage there. You see where there's a difference where there's a fence like across there? Okay, that's the end of the property.
Okay.
On this side, where that window is, that double window,
Yeah.
that was where a door was that went into the kitchen. That other part to the north of that was not there.
okay.
We will. Thank you. I have a lot of interesting stuff on that.
We're going to meet a family that is partial owner of this Calhoun County first 160 acres. Bob, I'm doing good. Good.
Hi, I'm
Roseanne, how are you?
Krystal Doolittle.
Glad to meet you,
Nice to meet
Krystal.
you.
After they came back from Sweden, they went directly to this farm ground here. Back when I grew up, we always had tons of snow.
Sure.
And Dad would pile a big mountain of snow.
Okay.
And then we would ride. He'd get a car hood and pull us. That little gray building was my playhouse.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, neat. So was it built to be a playhouse?
Yes.
So did your dad build it for you?
My
or?
dad, I'm sure, did.
Oh.
And then I'm a seamstress, so I would make curtains and we'd make mud pies and
4-H projects?
yes.
Tied up in that at all?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
To get his land, he put a patent on it.
What?
Yeah, he patented the land. It's got the governor's signature and the Secretary of State.
So it looks like Jonah Young
Yeah, that's
by the
it's
governor.
fun to read it.
yeah, it is.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
it's
exciting
interesting.
to see that.
Yeah.
What kind of special feeling do you have when you come back to your home place like this?
It gets emotional sometimes.
It does get emotional for you?
Christmas morning, we couldn't open our presents until Dad had done chores.
Yeah.
And he always had baby pigs. And as a little kid, that was the hardest to wait.
Great again, Roseanne. It's so nice to meet you. Thanks again for coming over here, Bob. It was great to meet you too.
Today we're going to Mobile, Iowa. We're meeting with Earl and Helen Maxwell.
All right.
I didn't know you were going to be here yet. I thought you were busy this afternoon.
No, he would play golf.
This morning.
You didn't call me. I would have played golf with you. I'd have come up early.
Now,
how do you fit into this thing?
I am one of the landowners, actually. My husband's grandfather owns one of the parcels that's in Hamilton County over in central Iowa. So, and I'm also working with these guys to just tell the stories of you landowners, really. What family had the farm then? Was it your family? Or was it-
My father had the farm, but not clear back to the very beginning.
Sure.
And you have how many kids?
4.
4. And those all 4 were at Iowa State at the same time.
Well, 3 of them. Yeah, I guess they really were. We were parents of the year down there in 1977.
So you got to tell me. So as family of the year in 1977, what did Iowa State do? How did they recognize you? What kind of celebrations did they have?
Well, actually, they paid for our motel room, which was a good thing.
Then they had us down at halftime.
At a football game.
At a football game.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I was thinking this was the one that had the whole moral act on the first pages. So yeah, it pretty much just outlines the moral act here.
He says as shows the original land grant in explicit detail of what's going on.
And this is the most detailed one that I've seen.
He came over from Scotland. This is me.
Oh, sure.
My sister, and then Bobby and Howard, and then we had another brother between me and this one. Because I can even remember when they took this picture. Because those boys didn't want to sit there very bad.
Of course.
We met at Iowa State.
Oh, yeah.
Well, hey.
Your Iowa State connection just keeps getting
Oh,
stronger
it
and
does.
stronger,
It does,
doesn't it?
because, see, he was a war vet that came, and at the time, it was just wonderful for the women down there because we had 9 men to every woman that was down there. So we were dated up for 6 weeks. It was a great time.
We had to fight like mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna get one more. Great. Okay.
The goal of the project, I think, is just to really tell a really, really neat story that most people don't know. And the part that I've enjoyed the most, I think, is just meeting the people and listening to their stories. I mean, it's just, there's such passion about asking about their family and their land and their ties to agriculture. Connecting the land with Iowa State, but it's about connecting the people. And so it's been fun.
When I partnered with ISU, I was excited to share these family stories. But I wasn't expecting to find the deep ties many of these families have to Iowa State or to Extension and Outreach. I discovered how integral the university has been in these communities across Iowa, and it makes me wonder how many other families are out there with roots tied to a farm from Iowa State's land grant that have no idea of the farm's history. This wonderful Iowa land just waits for its history to be rediscovered and its stories to be celebrated.